I'm Paulina Leiser, producer of Focus Today. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to check our other videos at theDove.us.
Welcome back. Well, this discussion continues. Delighted to have back with us today Josh Bernstein. He is the spokesman for the Association of Matured American Citizens. The AMAC.us is the website. And believe me, that's the one to join, not AARP. You want to join AMAC.us. He's a talk show host. He writes, he strategizes, and he's here to talk to us about the Confederate flag controversy. Hi, Josh. Good to see you again, friend.
It's great to be back with you.
Thank you, thank you. Well, listen, I just had Bishop Jackson on. He's kind of happy that the flag's coming down, and you think it ought to stay up. Let's talk about that. What do you think the Confederate flag symbolizes?
Well, before we get into that, I do want to say that my thoughts and prayers do go out to the victims of this horrific shooting in South Carolina. This is really a terrible tragedy. It's, by one person, individual who obviously hated blacks and took it out on them. And I think that he was a crazy person. And really, I think that the people of South Carolina have shown amazing resolve, amazing forgiveness, and just really great hearts to even be able to have it inside them to forgive someone who has done so much damage to the community. As far as the flag is concerned, look, it has a very long and complicated, history. Dating all the way back from 1861 to 1865. The flag has seen numerous changes, from the stars and bars to then, switching to the stainless banner, and then to the blood-soaked banner and/or what's known now as the rebel flag or the Confederate flag. But look, starting out, the flag was a symbol of Southern heritage. It was a symbol of, the Southern pride to fight in the war against, the North. And what's interesting is it changed so many times because of the fact that it was too similar to the regular American flag, and it was confusing the soldiers. So then they changed it again, and they changed it to a white background, and the white background was then looked upon as it's too much of a surrender or call for truce, especially on naval ships. Then it changed to the last way that it looks now with the cross and the rebel flag. What's interesting about it is that its initial intention was not necessarily to become a racist flag. It was more for Southern pride, Southern heritage, independence, and even today, that flag is used as a symbol against government tyranny and for state rights. As a matter of fact, in 1989, at the Berlin Wall, they flew the Confederate flag to show against the tyranny of government. So that's one thing. I think where it's gone crazy and gone wrong is the fact that Southern Democrats then hijacked it after the war and have used it since as a symbol for racism and hatred. And look, the Ku Klux Klan has used this flag numerous times. This kid, Dylan Roof, who went out there and did what he did, look, this was not a conservative. This was not a patriot. And the media is running around saying that this kid was a Tea Party patriot and he was conservative. He was not. He was burning the flag. He was stepping on the flag. He hated blacks, according to his manifesto. He hated Jews, according to the manifesto. So again, this is somebody who was an old throwback to the KKK and the old Southern Democratic Party. And I think that people need to understand that. So essentially, this is not a Republican issue. This is a Democrat Party issue. Because if we all know and we look at history, when the flag was first put up there in 1962, it was done by a Democratic governor named Fritz Hollins. It was actually taken down in 1998 by a Republican governor, David Beasley. So I think we've got to look at the history of this flag and realize that its intentions, at least in the beginning, were not necessarily an evil intention. It was more for state rights and Southern pride in the Civil War.
All right. You gave a great history, and I appreciate that. One of the questions that come out of this, you're not saying that the flag should be revered as stars and stripes or that of the state flag, are you?
Well, here's what I'm saying. I mean, look, this is a flag that has been for Christian heritage, for individualism, for self-reliance, for state rights, for against the government tyranny in this case. And what's interesting about this is what if here's a scenario. What if this kid, Dylan Roof, had a picture of, God forbid, the American flag on his car, or he was burning the American flag? I mean, when is it going to stop? Okay, now that we've gotten rid of the Confederate flag and everybody's gone crazy with this and they all want to remove the Confederate flag from, all walks of life as if it never existed, what's next? I mean, in 10, 15 years, are we going to see the American flag? Because we already know that the hard left likes to blame American exceptionalism, American superiority, and they look at all the world's problems and they blame America for it. So who's to say that as more immigrants come into the country and as the dynamics and the demography of the country changes, that at some point they would say, well, the American flag is representative of American might and power and American exceptionalism, and that makes other people that are coming here feel bad. So now we have to ban the American flag too. Look, where does it end and where does it stop? I'm not for banning this.
And Rush Limbaugh are saying that, and I get that, and I think it's a real possibility. I mean, the slippery slope here is that if the Confederate flag goes, but I'm just looking at, all right, the Confederate flag certainly represents an incredible time in our history, and should be respectful of that. But should it be revered equal with the Stars and Stripes or that of a state flag?
Well, again, that's a question I think for the states to figure out for themselves. Look, I'm originally from the Northeast, so I'm a northerner, if you will. But I look at the flag and I say, this is a precedent to then banning more things. And I believe it's more about control and eliminating free speech than it is about a flag. Okay, because I do believe that if this kid had any other type of flag, we'd be talking about that flag instead. Now, I know it's controversial, and I understand that the flag has been there for a long time, but I also look at the history of this flag, and the history of this flag points to Southern Democrats. So to me, it's absolutely mind-boggling that Black Americans still vote overwhelmingly for the Democrat Party when they were part of, wanting to keep slavery. They were part of the Jim Crow laws. I mean, the Republican Party was founded on the anti-slavery platform, for goodness sakes. So it just amazes me how history has been twisted and revised by Northeast liberals that run the media, academia, and everything else.
I think you make a good point. Now, are you surprised that NASCAR is saying, "Yep, we won't fly it either"?
Am I surprised? No, I'm really not. I mean, look, the two worst words we've ever heard in the American language, certainly in the 20th and 21st century, are the words political correctness. And I believe that political correctness, is the power trip that it has presented itself to be to curb rights, liberty, freedom of speech, the First Amendment, so on and so forth. So am I surprised that this country is moving to this direction? It just goes to show you that the left is winning the culture war in this country.
Your thoughts on how the community, the faith community, and the state responded to this horrible incident? It seems to be they're saying no riots on our watch and on our turf.
It amazes me that if you look at the difference between, for instance, Ferguson and Baltimore, there was riots, they were burning police cars, they were, burning down CVS's, they were doing all kinds of things. And what you're seeing in the South is none of that. And I think that's what's interesting about that is they've had some peaceful protests and rallies and things like that, but you're not hearing about, the destruction and the mayhem going on. And I think one of the reasons for that is that there are a lot more religious folks down south, certainly more than I would say even in the Northeast. And I think that there's a lot of, self-pride. And I think the fact that they can forgive this person, this absolute monster who did this, just goes to show you the heart and soul of Dixie and in the South.
Wow. So, Josh, what do you think the South Carolina legislature is going to do? Because they need a super majority in the House and the Senate to pull this off. What's the flavor? What do you think is going to happen?
I think the flavor is the fact that maybe after a couple of days, weeks, whatever, of calming down, letting this incident kind of pass, maybe it'll settle back, but I don't think so. I think this time it's a little bit different. There's already been reports that the majority of the Senate in South Carolina and the House of Representatives are in favor of taking it down away from the Capitol altogether. So I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say that political pressure, political, correctness, and the tragedy of what happened, I think, is going to be too much for the South Carolina legislation to actually hold above this, and keep the flag flying. So in my prediction, unfortunately, I think it'll probably be taken down.
Now, this is not to say you can't fly a Confederate flag as an individual or display it. It's just over the State House. I mean, granted, it's a huge move, and it does open Pandora's box, but it's not a slap against First Amendment.
Right. Well, what's amazing to me is that I believe that this incident in particular is going to be used against Republican candidates. They're already showing that it is, because they have already been asked questions about it. And I think that they need to get out in front of this, and the media needs to go out there, and I know they would never do it because they don't want to tell the truth, but they need to go out there and say that, look, this flag and what it has represented for so long post the Civil War, when it took on a new meaning, was based on Southern Democrats, and the fact that the person who put it up there in 1962, Fritz Holland, was a Democrat. Look, Hillary Clinton can run around all she wants and say that she's against it and she wants it taken down, but when she was in Arkansas with Bill Clinton, they supported it. So again, it's the liberal hypocrisy that's out there, and I think that needs to be exposed, because if it's not, then we're going to lose this battle. And I can see every single wedge issue question coming at these Republican candidates, especially in the debates. I would almost assume the first question would be a wedge issue as such.
Wow. All right. Well, thank you, Josh. People want to get a hold of you. Where do they get your website?
You can go to joshbernsteinpoliticalwriter.com, or just Google Josh Bernstein radio talk show host. And again, I'm a proud spokesman for the wonderful folks at AMAC.US, the Association for Mature American Citizens.
Yeah, and that's the one to join, folks, not AARP. Thanks, buddy. Good to see you again. We'll have you back soon.
Anytime.
All right. We'll be right back.